Again, welcome to the 2021 Alaska Farmers Market Virtual Summit. First, I'd like to start by recognizing that we are all living and residing on lands that have been cared for and farmed on and hunted on and gathered on for time immemorial. I am calling in from Denina and Supiaq borderlands here in Homer, Alaska. And I invite everyone, if you don't know what lands you're residing on, there's this awesome website that is posted here. And I think Megan's gonna drop the link in the chat box. I can't see all that right now. You can find out more about the lands that you are living on. I'd also want to take a second to give a huge thanks to our awesome planning committee. We have Megan Geary, who keeps all things together here for us at AFMA, Kyra Wagner from Homer Soil and Water, Heidi Che, Kenai Soil and Water, Sierra from Twisted Root Market, Miss Amy Pettit from Farmland Trust, Jody Anderson at the Matanuska Experiment Farm, Brad St. Pierre at Tanana Valley, and myself. We've been working for the past, probably 5 or 6 months on pulling this summit together. And we've had financial support from the USDA through a farmers market promotion grant that we're now in our last month of. So this is a great way to wrap up that grant. And also our fiscal sponsor, Cook Inlet Keeper, where our association resides right now as we reform and reblossom. And then wanted to give a shout out to all these awesome sponsors. You'll be hearing from Megan throughout the conference. We have some amazing door prizes donated from some of these folks. And also thanks to the Food Policy Council for allowing us to use their Zoom. We have over 200 people registered today. So our Zoom just couldn't handle that, that amount of folks. So thank you for that. I'm gonna pass it over to our resident yogini, Amy Pettit, to give us some legislative updates.
How do I unmute myself? Well, good morning, everybody, and thanks for being here. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to turn that yoga alarm off so you don't have to hear it again. Sorry about that. And I want to just pause for a second and remind everyone how critically important it is that we have positive relationships with our members of the legislature, both congressionally and at the local level. If you don't know who represents you, I hope that you take the time to figure that out. There's some critical action happening with the American Recovery Plan dollars, and you need to be, paying attention to how your members of the legislature and Congress are directing those funds, et cetera. So we have some lovely members and supporters with us this morning. I'm super excited. We're going to start with a video from Senator Murkowski. She was not able to join us this morning. I think she's traveling today, but she did send us a video. So we will jump over there and I will watch the chat to, or somebody shoot me a text or yell if it's not working, because as soon as I share my screen, I won't be able to see anything, right? Okay. Let's see here. Not there yet, almost there. There she is. Okay, here we go.
Good morning, Alaska farmers, and thank you for the invitation to join you again this year. The schedule that I received has me speaking right after the Alaska Farmland Trust Yoga, so hopefully you're all just calm and relaxed. Your theme, cultivating resiliency, is certainly relevant given the difficult year that we have all endured. Farmers are used to being resilient in the face of so much. They've got unpredictable weather, new pests, changing markets, and other challenges. But the pandemic has certainly offered its own unique challenges and anxieties. So I hope this summit will give you an opportunity to receive the inspiration and the support that you need for continued resiliency and success. Last year, when the Farmers Market Conference convened, I gave you an update on my efforts to help you and your neighbors navigate the unprecedented challenges that we have faced with the pandemic. At that point, Congress had passed both the Families First Coronavirus Response Act and the CARES Act, which provided billions of dollars for farmers, small business owners, communities, and individuals. So since then, Congress has expanded on these efforts by passing the Bipartisan Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act. We did this back in December, and then most recently, the American Rescue Plan, which passed in February. These bills include over $2 trillion in additional help, including for our nation's farmers. Know that I'm going to be monitoring the implementation of these new rescue packages, and I would certainly hope to hear from you about how they are addressing your needs. It's also time for us to begin planning for the next farm bill. This is due to be reauthorized in 2023, so it seems like it's a long ways away, but it comes up quick. The Senate Ag Committee expects to begin hearings next year, but as they say, it's never too early to start laying the groundwork for provisions that are especially important for Alaska's farmers and our food security. For example, as the Micro Grants for Food Security program gets underway, with over 2,000 applications submitted to the Division of Ag, I do look forward to hearing from Alaskans about how we can improve this program. Now, I know that I created the program, so you want it to be perfect, but I think we want to make sure that we help individuals and nonprofits who are not eligible for the many USDA programs open to farmers. But Alaska's farmers are eligible. I want this program to work for you. I'm also going to be seeking the full $10 million that was authorized for the program in this year's appropriations bill. At that level, Alaska would receive about $4 million to support a wide variety of innovative ways for improving access to healthy local foods that would be twice as much as we were able to secure in the last appropriations bill. So that's what we're working towards. I'll also continue to push for more help from the Agriculture Research Service to address the high priority questions that are facing Alaska's farmers. I look forward to continuing to work with you to increase Alaska's food security and to make Alaska's farmers markets the envy of the nation. So please continue to share your ideas about how the Farm Bill can be improved to better meet your needs. Your input will inform the conversations that I'm having with my Senate colleagues about Alaska's unique farming and ranching needs. So thank you for allowing me to provide a brief update. Hope you have a great conference. Take care.
Okay. I just want to pause for a second and thank Senator Murkowski. I think everyone in this room hopefully knows about the microgrants. And when she says that she wants feedback about how we can improve that program, she is sincere. And I know that many of you had problems or issues or concerns or questions that haven't been answered yet, maybe by the Division of Ag. I would invite you first and foremost to send those directly to Senator Murkowski. She wants to hear from you. But if you're not comfortable with that, or if you'd rather share with me, I have a dialogue going with her staffer, Karen McCarthy, and I have been very specific about this needs to change, this needs to change. Anyway, I've been compiling a list, and I would invite any and all of you to send your feedback to me because I sincerely believe that they want to change it to be more beneficial to farmers. So I wanted to throw that in there. Next up, we are going to hear from one of our dear friends. Well, for me, a dear friend and a former board member, co-board member, etc. I'm super stoked that Representative Liz Snyder from District 27 in Anchorage is here to join us this morning. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say. I miss you so much, and I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome, Liz.
Hey, everyone. Good morning. I'm bummed that I missed the yoga this morning. I participated last time, and it was like the highlight. So I caught the tail end and got to hear Amy's soothing voice, and I'll just coast on that for the rest of the day. Again, thank you for the invitation. It's kind of a surreal and wild treat to be here in this new capacity. As a legislator, I am representing East Anchorage's District 27, which we are not widely known for agriculture necessarily, but we do have a fantastic farmers market, the Muldoon Farmers Market, and I'm proud to be a member of the Northeast Community Council, which is a key player in making sure that market continues. It's really cool to be here again today to see this summit online. I know we're all anxious to get back to doing these things in person, but I'm glad this is able to continue. It was my pleasure and my honor to get to help coordinate the tech side of this summit last time. And it looks like everyone has a handle on this, and I am not surprised at all. It went so smoothly last time. I don't want to talk too long. I just want to say that I am so excited to see farmers markets continue to grow, both figuratively and quite literally. When COVID came and we were dealing with this back over a year ago, I'm very proud to say that I joined the voices lobbying with our mayor in Anchorage to make sure farmers markets were allowed to stay open and operate as we were dealing with a lockdown in the early days to keep our COVID numbers low. And I joined a loud crew of voices saying, look, this is an essential service that is being provided. It's comparable to our grocery stores and the needs that we're meeting for our community. And it's especially important that we continue supporting our farmers in this uncertain time. We had no idea what was coming down the pike at that point. So I'm pleased to say that that happened. Continuing, I'm so excited. I'm looking at Representative Tarr. She's like diagonally down from me on the screen this morning, and I am so excited to join her here in the legislature. She has been an incredible voice and advocate for food systems and agriculture in the state. And I'm excited to work with her on a bunch of legislation. I know she'll probably be talking about some things that she's working on, so I certainly won't mention that. But I am proud to say that I have staff in our office too that have been putting together some research based on my past experience working in food at the university and on the board of the Food Policy Council to develop some additional legislation to meet the needs of Alaska and y'all's needs. So I just want to highlight that if there are things that you run into a policy, so similar to what Amy just said, that you're running into issues that could be improved upon with the microgrant. If you're running into any other issues that have a possible policy solution, or you don't know if there's a possible policy solution, and Representative Tarr and myself and other legislators as well, contact your own legislators too. This is something in this time of divisiveness that we can all rally around food systems and reducing hunger. And I would love to live in that realm. It's refreshing. And the last thing I'll highlight is if you watch the governor's State of the State address, I think that was back in January, he specifically, and I copy and pasted from the transcript, his quote about wanting to champion and grow our agriculture and mariculture industries and put forth policies to make that happen. And I am here to make sure that we can back up those words with actual action. And I know we have people in the legislature working on that. And lastly, Senator Murkowski mentioned the Alaska Rescue Plan Act. And indeed, if you check out Title I, subtitles A and B, that's where you are going to find, if you haven't already looked, the food and ag related language that's coming in this tranche of funding that's coming down the pike. So I encourage everyone to take a peek at that, have a feel for what's coming. We in the legislature are trying to orient ourselves. I was hoping to have a HES, our Health and Social Services presentation we had lined up with USDA to hear more about ARPA next week. Things got shuffled, but we're working on a lunch and learn. I know that's brand new news to Representative Tarr, and it's certainly something I'd want to work with her on. And that's it. Oh, next week we have a bill going through to make sure all of our SNAP applications and other assistance applications are fully online and can be submitted online, which has a direct connection to accessing SNAP and getting more people getting SNAP through farmers market. So that's it. Thank you everybody for the time. And I'm sorry to leave early. I have a committee meeting, but thank you and have fun today.
Awesome. Thank you, Liz. Thank you so much for being here with us. And I don't know if you want to throw your email down in the chat, just in case folks do have direct comments or feedback that they'd like to send your way. We're so glad you're down there. It's it's not a job that I would want, but I'm so glad there's women like you that do want to do it. So I'm really glad that you're down there. Next up, we're going to hear from one of our food heroes and one of our food champions down in Juneau, Representative Tarr from District 19. I think you've been named, the Farm Bureau's Legislator of the Year. You've been given all sorts of awards for your passion and your championing of our food system. And so can't wait to hear what you have to say this morning. It's great to see you, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And it is so great to see you, even virtually, because I miss seeing so many of your faces. So it's so fun to see you this morning, see smiles, and know that you're doing okay, and we're all getting through this. So hopefully we can continue to take care of each other and get through this weird time, and then we'll be back together soon. I am so excited you got to hear from Rep. Synder. It's so fun to have her here in Juneau, and I know she's going to be a tremendous leader on these issues, and it'll be really fun to continue working with her in her new capacity. And so yay to Liz, and I'm so glad she could join before she had to go. I will just, my dog is wanting to play, so I know this is a group where I can share that, so that's why I'm moving around a little bit. But I want to just give some sort of updates of what's happening in the legislature, places you might want to be paying attention. And I'll start with the budget. Good news, through the activism of so many of you, we seem to have turned a corner with the governor, and there's no proposal to cut the Division of Agriculture or to eliminate the Division of Agriculture. So, the first couple of years of this administration were rough with that, but this year we're seeing more just status quo. Of course, we'd like to see more growth and support for the division, right? We know that with more support, we could do more, but at least we're not, just fighting for survival. So if you wanted to, there's budget testimony happening in the House Finance Committee this week. And so if you wanted to give some testimony, even though there aren't cuts, it's still good for them to know that it's important that funding is there. So, we didn't have to, kind of do the whole action alert thing this time, but it's good, for finance committee members to know that funding is important. So even if you just wanted to send an email that says, glad we don't have that fight this year, this is important, this is, food security, all of that, all the right things to say, but it just helps to remind people, right, of the importance of that. So I'm thankful we're not having, that issue this year, and that includes DEC funding for the dairy inspector, because again, the last 2 years we've had to go through that. So on the budget side, I feel better about things, and I think hopefully we've made an impact, your collective impact with emails and phone calls to kind of secure that and kind of turn that corner. So that's very exciting. On the legislative side of things, Amy, yay! Do you have a free the cheese button anywhere? The House Bill 22 is moving along, and this will be familiar to folks. It's our raw milk bill, and we just got it out of the Community and Regional Affairs Committee. I think we're up in the House Resources Committee next week. So we're really pushing. I have been reaching out to the Senate President to see, what gauge the support, if you will, on the Senate side. And a really fun story to kind of add on to what Representative Synder was sharing is that, I have this bill. We have a lot of new members. One of the new members is Representative Kevin McCabe. If you're from the Mat-Su, he may be your new representative. He is the district that used to be Mark Newman. And so Big Lake and, surrounding areas there. Well, he's very supportive of this. In fact, even wants to go, more for food freedom, which if folks were involved, our original version of this bill a few years ago, based off of Wyoming, was the full food freedom. We got a lot of pushback from DEC, so we're taking it piece by piece, but he's very interested in that. So last weekend, he goes home, he and his wife go visit Susie Crosby. They milk some goats. They're now herd share members. His wife is making goat cheese at home. It's awesome. So he wants to go talk to the Senate President with me today about kind of saying, hey, this needs to be a priority. How can we ensure that once it goes through the House, if we can do that quickly, that we can try and get it through the Senate. So there are great opportunities for bipartisanship through our food security. I think also because, we want our rural economies to be strong, that is a great way to collaborate with your colleagues and, be thinking about that economic recovery. So I thought that was just a really fun story about how this bill is bringing people together and causing some excitement and increasing people's knowledge for sure And Amy Seitz and Susie, just thank you so much. They're this tremendous trio that gives this really inspiring and exciting presentation about what's happening with food security and specifically, herd share programs and why they're working for Alaskans. So that is very exciting. There's also a couple of bills, Representative Hopkins and Senator Hughes, related to some cleanup necessary for the hemp program. And I know there's a lot of support for that. And so that might be, I'm sorry I don't have the bill numbers, I'll look those up, but those might be bills that you would be interested in because a great potential there. Alaska could become the leader in hemp production, and then there'd be value added product kind of opportunities. So those two bills I think are really important for getting that, one of them needs to go through to get that industry going. So I think I'll stop there. I'm trying to think if there's any other legislation. I can't think of any that are coming to mind right now. It sounds like Rep. Snyder's working on some things. And on the SNAP benefits, I do want to say, glad to hear she's working on that. I'll be very interested. This summer, I spent about 3 weeks working on this because SNAP benefits, you weren't allowed to do it with online ordering, but you weren't allowed to do curbside pickup either. And it's just, and when we talk about food systems and food access and food justice, I feel like this is a really important thing to acknowledge because, the programs prohibit it. So that's why we have to do these, policy level program changes. And we have to work with the federal government on something like this. But then even when you get past that, at Fred Meyer, they had a store policy unrelated to online, but for curbside pickup, that they didn't let people with SNAP benefits do curbside pickup. Why? Well, maybe there would be some kind of, fraudulent activity is what I was told. Okay, well, there's no more likelihood, with a person, I could steal someone's credit card or someone could, that happens all the time, right? But because there's that bias against poor people and, food access, I know all of us care about that. And that's, a big part of having SNAP options at farmers markets. So just thought it was so interesting, to have to confront that during a pandemic. My constituent was a single mom with 2 young kids. So she didn't want to take her whole family into the grocery store. And she just wanted to get food for her family, something so basic. So thank you for making food more accessible. Thank you for, working on the SNAP issue so that it's accessible at farmers markets to all Alaskans. And just thank you for being awesome and letting me visit with you today.
Thank you, Karen, for our Representative Tarr for being here, and as well as Representative Schneider and Senator Murkowski. So we are going to move right into our next presentation with Jeffrey O'Hara from the USDA. He's going to tell us a little bit about the different programs that the USDA offers to help support farmers markets and local food. So just as a reminder, we were able to restart this association with a 2017 farmers market promotion program. So everyone that runs markets and farms, listen up and see how we can work with the USDA to build local foods. And then Megan, our conference assistant, will be playing some animal noises to let us know when we have about 2 to 3 minutes left. We did not build any breaks in here, as you can see from our conference schedule. So we're gonna try and be really concise. So Jeffrey, are you out there?
Yeah, and so when I see that sort of cane approaching from the side of my screen about to hook me off the stage, I'll be prompt and get away. It looks like, thanks Robbie for inviting me, and Megan, it's great to be here. It looks like I'm standing in the middle of a cornfield and somewhere very sunny, but I'm actually in my house in Alexandria, Virginia, which is just outside Washington, DC. I do volunteer at our neighborhood farmers market, but I don't do it probably with the level of commitment and energy that you guys all have. So maybe I know enough to be dangerous here. So I'm just going to present a few slides here. I'd love to share with you guys about what we're up to, and just want to hear if there's time for Q&A, that'd be great. Let me just pull up some slides I had, and let me see here. Let me see. I can get this. All right. Well, I can just do it this way. So really quickly, we do a few things here at the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Agricultural Marketing Service to support local foods. I think what Robbie's already been talking about and what I think we're probably most known for are our grant programs. We have 3 big grant programs for local foods. One is the Farmers Market Promotion Program. The second one is the Local Food Promotion Program. And the third one is Regional Food System Partnerships. So Farmers Market Promotion Program was actually the one Robbie was talking about specifically, and that is a grant program for technical assistance for direct-to-consumer marketing. Local Food Promotion Program, we do have farmers market organizations to get those, and those are for intermediated sales of local foods. And then Regional Food System Partnerships is a new grant program set up in the 2018 Farm Bill that supports sort of unique partnerships or collaborations among different parts of the supply chain. Exciting news is that we have some Farm Bill money, but we also have COVID stimulus money, and the RFAs for this year's awards are going to come out very soon. I hopefully before the end of this month. So we really want to see love to see great projects, strong applications. The funding is going to go up this year, and this because of the COVID. We have extra money this year because of COVID, and also because of that, we're able to lower the match requirements for this year only. So for this year only, my understanding is that the matches are going to drop from 25% to 10%. So this is a really a unique opportunity to, if you have strong proposals, and it sounds like this current grant's expiring, so maybe there's some opportunities there. We also operate an on-site farmers market, at least we did before coronavirus. And then we also have a division, and actually this is the division that I'm within, is a division that does research and technical assistance. We have a couple of architects in our division, and they provide free architectural services for those needing help with layout or blueprint designs. We serve in a convening role. I know Robbie attended a conference we threw in Chicago a few years ago. We maintain local food directories. We also have support integrated research and outreach extension projects. So research projects we have with a research and an extension component. So a big project that we undertook about a year ago was a project looking at how the local food system is adapting to COVID. And that's actually a picture that I snapped at my farmers market, and I got up on our website. So this is a pretty big project that we've undertaken with the University of Kentucky and some other researchers. And what we did here was we brought together a number of representatives from across the local food supply chain together to share what's happening in different parts of the local food supply chain, technical assistance needs. Equity issues have always been emerging in local foods, but they became increasingly important last year. And we're really trying to find new ways for people in the local food supply chain to work together. I think that's one of the roles that we see ourselves playing. So what does this mean for farmers markets? So, I mean, I know the Farmers Market Coalition is, an organization you guys are very familiar with. I know they're on your agenda later today. So they're one of the groups we brought in. We also brought in an organization called the Local Catch Network that supports direct fishers. And so one of the issues that doesn't get a lot of attention is the fact that, there's seafood producers tend to get overlooked in direct marketing opportunities and how direct, whether we can create direct marketing opportunities for them. So I did a study on this a couple of years ago. There's a lot of barriers to selling seafood at farmers markets. So, so in this case, making introductions between like the Local Catch Network and the Farmers Market Coalition, or maybe introductions with the Alaska Farmers Market Association, those are a way that we want to sort of facilitate conversations and shared opportunities for market practitioners that maybe don't always talk and meet to start sharing and talking about ways they can collaborate going forward. I think FMC will discuss some of this later today, but we've created some technical assistance resources for farmers market managers on this project with FMC, and also with an organization called Fresh Farm, which they manage farmers markets here in the district. These range from how to collect market data, from vendors at the market, ways to undertake customer counts at markets, and a new one coming soon that we did with FMC is how to maintain budgets. So less than half of farmers markets maintain a budget. Well, why is that important? Well, to apply for an AMS grant, you have to be able to have budgets, and you have to be able to track your expenses, and it's going to be very hard to access our resources and our technical assistance and our support without having a budget. And same thing with undertaking customer counts and collecting data. Those are important for managing your market, but those are also important ways you can advocate for your market and important ways that you can present about why your market is important to other officials or stakeholders in your community. We've undertaken some surveys recently. We undertook a national level survey of farmers market managers last year. And we also have a survey out in the field this year of direct farms and ranches that sell through local market channels. So we will have results at the end of this calendar year about how farms and ranches, did in 2020 during COVID. I know it's a very kind of confusing. It's really hard to draw generalizations at this point. In some places they seem to be doing okay. Other places we know they're not doing okay. And so I think we really we're trying to understand that better. And that's a service that we tried to provide the local food sector. I've also, personally done some studies of different trends or different, what's kind of going on with farmers markets. So one of those studies turned out to be very timely, which is looking at how vendors were using online platforms. That study got published right before COVID hit. So that it turned out to be a very timely study. Another study was looking at cottage food laws and opportunities for baked good vendors. And a third one we just finished up was how COVID impacted sales in the farmers market sales in the Washington, D.C. area. I'm happy to talk about any of these topics in more depth, but I'm just trying to provide a sample of the stuff that we looked at and worked on in the interim. So that's sort of an array of topics that we work on. I don't know which ones might be of interest to kind of dig deeper on. I'm happy to answer questions, and didn't want to kind of dominate the floor with me talking, but really wanted to, to the extent we could have a conversation, would welcome that. So I can talk about any of those issues more if people want to, or I can happy to answer any other questions people might have. So I'm going to stop sharing. So let me see if there's some questions in the chat. No questions in the chat.
Jeffrey, this is Robbie. I was wondering if you could tell a little bit about the differences between the FMPP, the LFPP grant programs, because we have a wide variety. It's just not farmers market managers. We have all kinds of folks here that might be.
Okay, and I'm actually seeing my colleague on the screen, Zoemi, who just popped up in my upper right-hand corner. Zoemi, do you want to unmute and introduce yourself and say hi? So Zoemi works in our grants division. Zoe, do you want to say hi real quick?
Sure. I'm sorry for my kid is here. So hi, my name is Zoe Ramos. I am a grants management specialist for the Farmers Market and Local Food Promotion Program. Have been with the program since 2014, around 6 years. With it, I pretty much handle the Alaska projects for both programs. I guess the main difference for the FMPP and LFPP is that the FMPP focus on direct interaction with your customers, with or selling direct to the consumer. And when it comes to the LFPP, it's more like intermediaries. If you're a food hub, if you're a commercial kitchen and things like that, we'll focus more on the LFPP.
Cool, thanks, Zoemi. And I see a bunch of questions have emerged in the chat. So cottage food laws, that's been an interesting one for us, for me personally. So the big issue that I'm interested in is that USDA has tended to always think about farmers markets and local foods as about farms and ranches. And that's what we collect data on. That's the way we talk about it. And part of, what I've been interested in as well, it's much bigger than that. Farmers markets are contributing to a lot more business development and economic opportunities for other kinds of people, including fishers, including food businesses. So cottage food laws are interesting because as they've gotten passed throughout the United States, and what cottage food laws are. Essentially a way in which states allow home bakers or people that make products in their home kitchen to sell them mostly at direct-to-consumer outlets. And so I did a study to see whether these were creating economic opportunities, and for baked goods in particular, they were. And so this has implications for how our grant programs work, and making sure that we want to support those kinds of projects as well, since we're really trying to support all direct marketing practitioners and producers, which farms and ranches are a very important part, but they're not necessarily the only part. And so I think that sparked that interest in cottage foods. Let me see here. Data collection and customer counts. Yeah, so I will put a link in the chat to a couple of resources we created. So Fresh Farm is an organization in DC that has a pretty good data system for tracking vendor sales, but not everybody tracks vendor sales. Not all farmers market managers have the capacity or abilities to do that, and that's okay. And so I think, our message is, it's important to collect data for where you're at, and just because your organization may not have the capability or ability to do elaborate record keeping, there's still merits to doing some record keeping. So we have some short documents on data collection and customer counts. I'll put those in a chat, and I'll also put my email in the chat to talk about more. And we had a similar document on creeping budgets. Well, you don't need to necessarily have to have 50, 60, 70 budget categories to create budgets. Maybe you start with 6 or 7 or 8, that are USDA AMS asked for FMLFPP. So, our messages are really to try to be empowering and encouraging, and to make managers feel empowered and confident that they can start doing some of this, and for us to offer resources to get managers started down that path. So please send me information on the architects. Yes, I'll put that in the chat. So you mentioned fisheries. We have a couple fishing programs. Yeah, so on seafood, I could set up an introduction perhaps with the local catch network, which is run out of the University of Maine, but they have members from all across the United States. And they have had, confronted with a lot of barriers in the past with that, selling through local markets. COVID, and then when COVID hit, restaurants closed. And so that was kind of a disaster for a lot of fishers, and along with the trade problems going on with tariffs and so forth. So we've really seen a huge interest in community supported in communities. It's something that we need to understand better. I don't think the National Marine Fisheries Service has historically put a lot of effort into that. And so I think at USDA, we're trying to find an opportunity to work together with the National Marine Fisheries Survey at trying to create opportunities for fishers, and farmers markets will be important ally in that. Okay, so data collection, we have a whole session on data collection. Okay, architects, I'll put in the chat. Cottage foods. Vendor has to be present during the market. Yeah, went to an online. Yeah, so I think cottage foods could potentially, yeah. So online marketplaces, I see a comment on that. Yeah, I think that's an impediment for both farms, ranchers, and cottage food vendors. The study that we did, looking at about 2015, it was only like I think it was either 6% or 8% of direct farmers had an online marketplace as of a few years ago. So very, very recently. I know Alaska has probably some broadband issues, which you compound that or create greater barriers. But that's a topic that the cooperative agreement that I mentioned at the beginning is really trying to understand better, and understanding if AMS can help farmers with still developing online marketplaces. Oh, Diana's here. Hi, Diana. So yeah, so Diana can also talk about the stuff I'm talking about. Okay, so I know I'm kind of rambling here. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to field all those things in the chat or not. Robbie and Megan, how am I doing? Was that kind of the right level of depth? Is that the right level of responses people are wanting, or?
You're doing great, Jeffrey.
I'm kind of talking fast and rambling here, so
Yeah, no.
do others want to jump in? I'm kind of hogging the floor here.
We have just a couple more minutes, so if anybody has any more questions for Jeffrey or Zomi, feel free to drop them in the chat, and if not, Megan can play her goat noise and we can get ready for our next session.
So Robbie and Megan, this reminds me, for architectural services, we have a form. So if people want consultations with our architects, they typically ask people to kind of fill out like a one-page form describing either their market or their project and kind of what they need assistance with. Could I just email you? If I emailed that form to you, could you share that with the attendees? And that's sort of an efficient way for them to engage with our architects. Is that a helpful next step?
Yeah, that sounds great. We'll make sure every attendee gets it, and we will get that posted on our website resources as well.
And then on seafood, I'm actually talking to the local catch network later today. Would I be able to pass along, your contact information with them, and maybe, I could, if that all makes sense, I could kind of introduce you guys over email. Makes sense for your membership to communicate with them. Is that helpful next there?
Absolutely. Anything you'd like to share with us, we'll get it out to folks.
Okay. And then data collection, I think Diana is going to cover a fair amount of that. And so I guess doesn't sound like me later, or you can follow up with Diana later. And it sounds like Zoe, we got you guys what you wanted on grants. Are there any other questions or takeaways for either myself or Zoemi?
See, I'm not seeing any pop up, so we will tell you guys thank you so much for taking time. I know y'all are busy getting the next round of RFAs up, and we just want to tell you super thank you for all the support you've given Alaska over the many years. So thank y'all.
Well, it's been fun to get to meet you guys. I mean, it was great you guys came to Chicago, and it's just, we've had some Zooms since then, and I know you were active and contributing to our grants conference last month, and it's been really educating for us. So, we appreciate the opportunities to come and meet with you folks.
Awesome. Thank you. And Megan, do you want to try out your animal noises just so that we know what we're looking for?
Sure, yeah, just to make sure everyone can hear them. Here's the goat. Is it too quiet?
Might need a little louder on that goat.
How's that?
There you go. That's good.
Or alternatively, here's the chicken. So keep an ear out for those. That'll be kind of your warning at 2 to 3 minutes left for speakers.
Awesome. Well, we will pass it over to Brad St. Pierre now. Brad, give me 1 minute. I'm gonna adjust the recording. It's sucking down all my not so great internet. So hang on just 1 second.